My name is Donald Houston. My age is 57, born June 25th, 1964. Dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, went back to get my GED. Went to junior college at Roxbury Community College. Transferred my credits from junior college to Boston University and got a bachelor's degree in liberal arts. After college, I pursued a boxing career. While working the pulley, there was a guy working the bottom of the pulley on the outside of the building. He was at the bottom of the 15 stories. This guy was responsible for stacking the pallets or putting the mortar or the stone onto pallets. His job was to load the pallets and then wheel them up to me on the pulley. He would pulley him up. I would grab the pulley, hold the pulley, while he would wheel it up to my level, and I would grab the rope and then pull the mortar and the brick onto the scaffolding. That day, the guy that was operating the pulley downstairs, prematurely let go of the rope. And as a result of him prematurely letting go of the rope, the brick started to tilt off of the scaffolding because it wasn't fully on the scaffolding. And before the brick started to spill, I grabbed the rope, but it was just too much weight. It was a full pallet of brick. And the weight pulled me up into the pulley until my hand went under the rope of the pulley and had me dangling right off the scaffolding there. So I had to literally pull this rope while my fingers was trapped under the pulley and pull my fingers out from under the rope and the pulley of the weight of the brick. So I got hurt trying to keep the brick from falling off the pallet. The injuries I sustained to my hand as a result of that was the ligaments in my hand were ruptured and smashed, and the tips of my index fingers and my pinky had to be fused and pins put in my hand. So I reported it to the foreman after reporting it to the guys who were on the scaffold. They seen what happened anyways, but no one really moved. Everybody, it was a rush job to get this thing done. The way it's done is, if you're hurt on the site, you report the injury to either the foreman or whoever's in charge of the site. I reported it to the guy who was in charge and the foreman, and they told me to drive myself to the hospital and get myself checked out. After I left the site that day, I drove myself to the hospital, had my hands checked out. They wrapped my hands up in some type of sling and gauze and some other stuff, and put me on the list to see someone immediately for surgery. Well, since the day of the accident, I've had 3 surgeries on my hand. The first surgery I had was to repair the ligaments that were popped in my hand. My index finger, the ligament popped from my index finger in my palm, And the pinky, same thing. So the treatment that I had, the first treatment that I had was to repair the ligaments in my hand and fused the bones and put pins in it to see if I can get movement and feeling back into my hand. The second treatment that I had, I wasn't getting the motion back in my hand that I needed. So the doctor wanted to try cutting up another particular ligament that might have been obstructing or keeping me from getting full range of motion in my hand. He cut that ligament, and that didn't do much. The third procedure was as a result of my hand being kind of deformed I through rehab and trying to get the hand back up to par, a cyst, like some type of cyst grew in the palm of my hand, and that was the third procedure, was to remove that cyst from my hand. I haven't been able to work as a laborer since the day of my injury. I can't make a fist with my hand. I can't close my hand fully. First of all, once you fuse the tips of the fingers, they lose that ability to close fully. So they just flap out. On top of that, putting pins in it won't allow it any flexibility at the tips or the halfway part of the finger. So there's no fixing that. I lost my grip as a result of this. That's one of the major things that I lost, was grip, being able to grip properly with this hand, because these two fingers have a lot to do with grip. Prior to this injury, I had never injured my left hand, in any major way. No surgeries, no broken bones in my left hand. I'm actually a southpaw, and my left hand, I protected my left hand because in boxing, you make sure that your big punch is always, available for you. So I never really injured my left hand. Never. I may have injured my right a few times, but I never injured my left hand. The one thing that troubles me every day, since this injury is, during the time of the injury and while I was working, at the union, I would get off of work, and I had a guy named Steve Walker that I was training. This guy had lost his first amateur fight ever. And he came to me and asked me to train him. And I trained this kid. I put countless amount of hours in training this guy. And fast forward 3 years later, this guy has 5 titles.
Having all sorts of trouble. Huge kick. That might be it, and it is. Just like that, the championship reign continues for Steve Walker.
5 titles in Muay Thai, in boxing. 5 titles. And because of my injury, I had to leave as lead trainer of this guy. I was his sole trainer. He didn't have the trainers he had today. He had me. And because I can't do what I used to do from that point, it ruins me. It ruins me. This guy, he's in Vegas, he's all over the world, and he's starting to get even bigger now, and it was the result of my training, what I did with him. And I get nothing out of that now. I get nothing. I won't even go to his fights. At that time, I used to take all the kids from the boxing program to every one of his fights through this boxing program. And And I just stopped doing it because I get so angry that I was supposed to be a part of this. That was taken from me again. And it doesn't make me stop working with these kids, but it took me away from that professional life that I pursued. Because if I couldn't do it, I wanted to have someone that I taught do it, to know that what I teach could actually be applied in the professional ranks, and it did. And to this day, this guy, to this day, he has like 5 or 6 titles. It's unbelievable. It's just,